You once built sandcastles on San Diego's beaches, but today over 10,000 homeless people sleep under those same palm trees. Police officers now refuse regular patrols in areas where your family used to vacation. How did America's finest city become so dangerous that even law enforcement steps back? The transformation didn't happen overnight, but the numbers tell a shocking story. According to the Regional Task Force on Homelessness's latest annual count, San Diego County now has over 10,200 homeless individuals. That's not a misprint. 10,000 people without homes in a single metropolitan area. What makes this crisis unprecedented isn't just the size, it's the speed. Over the past decade, San Diego's homeless population has exploded by 300%, while the national average increased by only 18%. You're witnessing one of the fastest growing homeless crises in American history unfolding in real time. Even compared to California's other troubled cities, San Diego's numbers are staggering. Los Angeles has roughly 4 times San Diego's population, but only 5 times the homeless count. San Francisco, with similar population density, has fewer total homeless individuals despite decades of well-documented crisis. The geographic spread reveals the true scope of this emergency. Homeless encampments now exist in all 8 city council districts, from affluent Carmel Valley to working-class neighborhoods in southeastern San Diego. According to city data from 2024, no zip code remains untouched. Families driving to soccer practice in Scripps Ranch encounter encampments. Beach volleyball players in Mission Bay step around tents and tarps. But statistics only capture part of reality. While numbers tell one story, the real shock comes when you see which specific neighborhoods have been completely transformed. Maps can't capture what you discover when walking through East Village after sunset. This downtown neighborhood, once slated for urban renewal, now hosts the largest homeless encampment concentration in San Diego County. Over 1,500 people live in tents, tarps, and makeshift structures across a 12-block radius. Logan Heights tells a similar story. What was historically a working-class Latino neighborhood now features encampments along every major street corridor. According to the San Diego Police Officers Association, these areas have become so dangerous that regular foot patrols have been suspended. The union's president issued a stark warning in October 2024. Officers are getting assaulted, threatened with needles, and facing unpredictable violence daily. We cannot guarantee officers' safety in these zones. Translation? Even trained law enforcement professionals consider these areas too risky for routine policing. Numbers back up these concerns. 911 response times in East Village average 18 minutes compared to the citywide average of 7 minutes. Emergency dispatchers now classify certain street addresses as enhanced risk zones, requiring backup units before any response. Businesses are voting with their feet. In the past 18 months, 23 East Village establishments have relocated or permanently closed, citing security concerns and customer safety issues. The Pantoja Park Cafe, a neighborhood fixture for 30 years, shuttered after repeated break-ins and customer harassment incidents. These danger zones aren't isolated to industrial areas. They're spreading into the heart of San Diego's most iconic districts. You remember when the gas lamp quarter meant upscale dining and weekend nightlife. Today, you step around human waste on Fifth Avenue, while tourists clutch their purses tighter. This historic district, San Diego's crown jewel of urban revitalization, has become ground zero for the city's transformation into something unrecognizable. The numbers paint a devastating picture. Since 2022, 37 businesses in the Gaslamp Quarter have permanently closed, not relocated, closed. The famous Horton Plaza, once a shopping destination drawing millions annually, sits largely vacant while encampments occupy the surrounding blocks. Tourist complaints have skyrocketed by 400%, according to the San Diego Tourism Authority's internal reports. Visitors describe stepping over needles, encountering aggressive panhandling, and witnessing drug use in broad daylight outside restaurants and hotels. The convention center area tells an even more troubling story. Encampments now line Harbor Drive and Park Boulevard, creating a gauntlet that convention attendees must navigate. Hotel occupancy rates in downtown have dropped from 87% in 2019 to 62% in 2024, representing millions in lost tourism revenue. Walk down Broadway today and compare it to photos from just 5 years ago. Where you once saw outdoor dining and bustling sidewalks, you now encounter rows of tents, shopping carts loaded with belongings, and the overwhelming smell of human desperation. The crisis hasn't stopped at downtown's borders. It's reaching San Diego's crown jewel destinations. Picture bringing your family to Mission Beach for a classic California vacation, only to find encampments blocking beach access and human waste contaminating the sand where children used to build castles. This is San Diego's new reality in areas that once defined the California dream. Mission Beach now hosts over 200 permanent encampments along its boardwalk and side streets. Pacific Beach has seen a 350% increase in homeless population since 2022, according to city environmental health reports. What were once pristine beaches attracting 4 million visitors annually have become outdoor homeless shelters. Balboa Park presents an even more heartbreaking transformation. This 1,400-acre cultural treasure, home to world-class museums and the famous San Diego Zoo, now houses approximately 800 homeless individuals in makeshift camps throughout its canyons and wooded areas. Park rangers report finding needle debris near children's playgrounds and human waste contaminating hiking trails. Tourist safety incidents have surged dramatically. The San Diego Police Department logged over 600 assault reports in beach communities during 2024, compared to 112 in 2020. Beach access points at Sunset Cliffs and La Jolla Shores now require security patrols due to aggressive panhandling and drug-related violence. Lifeguards report restricting access to popular beach areas when encampments create safety hazards. You can no longer guarantee your family's safety at beaches that once epitomized California paradise. Understanding how paradise became a crisis zone requires examining the economics that push people to these extremes. The mathematics of survival in San Diego reveal an impossible equation. Take a full-time minimum wage worker earning $16 per hour, that's $2,700 monthly before taxes. Now consider that the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment has soared past $3,200, according to Apartment List's 2024 market report. You're looking at a housing market where even middle-class families struggle. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition found that San Diego workers need to earn $41 per hour just to afford average rent without spending more than 30% of income on housing. That's 2.5 times the minimum wage. Eviction rates tell the brutal story of displacement. San Diego County processed over 18,000 eviction filings in 2024, representing a 47% increase from pre-pandemic levels. These aren't just statistics. They're families losing their homes faster than the shelter system can accommodate them. The job market creates additional pressure. While San Diego added 32,000 jobs last year, most pay between $15 and $22 per hour, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Meanwhile, basic living expenses beyond rent, food, transportation, healthcare, consume another $1,500 to $2,000 monthly for a single person. When your paycheck covers either rent or everything else but not both, homelessness becomes inevitable rather than exceptional. But economics alone doesn't explain why San Diego has become a magnet for homeless populations from across the country. When you're homeless in Minneapolis during January with temperatures hitting negative 20 degrees, San Diego's 70-degree winter days aren't just appealing, they're life-saving. This climate advantage has transformed San Diego into America's unofficial homeless destination, drawing thousands from across the nation. Migration data reveals the scope of this influx. According to the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, 43% of San Diego's homeless population originated from other states. The largest numbers come from cold weather cities: Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, and Denver. Many arrive with one-way bus tickets, sometimes provided by other cities' social services. San Diego's year-round mild weather enables permanent encampment establishment rather than temporary shelter seeking. While homeless populations in northern cities fluctuate seasonally, San Diego's numbers remain consistently high. Encampments develop infrastructure, solar panels, elaborate tent cities, even community gardens, because residents know they can survive outdoors indefinitely. The numbers spike during winter months. Between November and March, San Diego's homeless population typically increases by 15 to 20% as people migrate from colder regions. This seasonal surge overwhelms already strained services and shelter capacity. city infrastructure buckles under this constant influx. Water usage at public facilities has increased by 38% since 2020, while public restroom maintenance costs have tripled. Emergency medical services report treating twice as many hypothermia cases than heat-related illnesses, paradoxically, because people arrive unprepared for even San Diego's mild winter nights. The people arriving aren't who many residents expect. The demographics reveal surprising truths. Strip away assumptions about who becomes homeless, and you discover demographics that shatter common misconceptions. San Diego's homeless population doesn't match the stereotypes most people carry. Age tells the most startling story. 38% of San Diego's homeless population is over 50 years old, according to the 2024 point-in-time count. The fastest growing segment? People over 62, increasing by 67% since 2020. These aren't lifelong street dwellers. They're retirees whose fixed incomes couldn't keep pace with housing costs. Military connections run deeper than expected. 23% of San Diego's homeless population consists of veterans, nearly double the national average of 13%. The proximity to Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, Naval Base San Diego, and multiple military installations creates a pipeline of service members transitioning to civilian life without adequate support systems. Mental health and addiction compound the crisis, but not as you might expect. While 62% report mental health conditions and 47% struggle with substance abuse, these often develop after becoming homeless rather than causing it. Street living creates trauma and drives people toward drugs and alcohol as coping mechanisms. Perhaps most shocking, 28% of homeless individuals work full or part-time jobs. You'll find teachers sleeping in cars, restaurant workers living in tents, and retail employees camping in canyons because their paychecks can't cover San Diego's rent. Behind these statistics are individual stories that reveal how quickly life can change. Meet David, a 43-year-old Marine Corps veteran who served 2 tours in Afghanistan before his discharge in 2021. After struggling with PTSD and losing his job as a security guard, David couldn't afford his $800 monthly room rental. He's been living in Balboa Park for 8 months, representing the 23% of San Diego's homeless veterans who transitioned directly from military service to street life. Maria works 45 hours weekly as a certified nursing assistant at Scripps Hospital, earning $18 per hour. She, her husband, and their 2 young children have lived in their Honda Accord for 6 months, parking in different locations each night to avoid police citations. Despite earning nearly $60,000 annually combined, they can't save enough for rental deposits that now average $8,000 in San Diego. 72-year-old Robert lost his subsidized senior housing after a heart attack required 3 months of rehabilitation. Medical bills consumed his savings, and his Social Security income of $1,400 monthly couldn't secure new housing in a market where senior accessible units average $2,800. He's been sleeping in his car for 4 months. 18-year-old Carmen aged out of foster care in January with no family connections and a part-time retail job. Foster youth in San Diego face a 43% homelessness rate within 2 years of aging out, according to the Department of Social Services. These personal tragedies have created broader public safety challenges that affect everyone. When trained police officers refuse to patrol certain neighborhoods, you know public safety has reached a breaking point. San Diego Police Department statistics reveal a disturbing trend that should alarm every resident. Officer injuries in homeless encampment responses have increased by 147% since 2022. The numbers tell a stark story. Last year alone, 63 officers sustained injuries during encampment calls, ranging from needle sticks to serious assaults. Officer Mike Rodriguez spent 3 days in the hospital after being attacked with a metal pipe during a welfare check in East Village. These aren't isolated incidents. They're becoming routine. Drug-related violence has transformed encampments into war zones. The San Diego Police Officers Association documented over 200 assaults against officers in encampment areas during 2024, compared to 47 in 2020. Fentanyl trafficking and methamphetamine manufacturing within camps create volatile, unpredictable environments where desperate people resort to extreme violence. Response protocols have fundamentally changed. Officers now require backup for any encampment call, extending response times citywide. The department's new enhanced safety procedures mandate protective equipment for routine interactions, treating every encampment like a hazmat situation. Union President Brian Marvel issued a blunt statement in November. "We cannot send officers into areas where their safety cannot be reasonably guaranteed. These camps have become lawless zones." When law enforcement acknowledges they cannot maintain order, you're witnessing the collapse of basic civic function. The safety crisis extends beyond law enforcement to create a public health emergency. Disease doesn't respect boundaries between homeless encampments and the broader community. San Diego County Health Services reported a devastating hepatitis A outbreak in 2017 that infected over 580 people, with 20 deaths directly linked to unsanitary conditions in homeless camps. That outbreak cost taxpayers over $13 million in emergency response and cleanup efforts. Tuberculosis rates tell an even more alarming story. San Diego's TB incidence among homeless populations is 43 times higher than the general population, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Active TB cases increased by 38% between 2022 and 2024, primarily concentrated in encampment areas where people live in close quarters without proper ventilation or medical care. You can't walk through downtown San Diego without encountering needle debris and human waste contaminating public spaces. The city's Environmental Health Department collected over 47,000 used syringes in 2024, a 62% increase from the previous year. Playground equipment, bus stops, and sidewalks require daily decontamination in affected areas. Emergency room utilization reveals the crisis's true scope. UCSD Medical Center reports that 34% of emergency department visits now involve homeless patients, with costs averaging $12,000 per visit. Many use emergency rooms for basic medical care, mental health crises, and drug overdoses that could be prevented with proper housing and healthcare access. The health crisis is devastating San Diego's economy in ways most residents don't realize. Tourism, San Diego's $27 billion economic engine, is hemorrhaging revenue as visitors choose safer destinations. The San Diego Tourism Authority's internal data shows visitor spending dropped by $850 million between 2022 and 2024, with homelessness cited as the primary concern in 63% of negative visitor reviews. Visitor survey data paints a devastating picture. TripAdvisor reviews mentioning homeless or unsafe increased by 412% since 2020. Families report cutting vacations short, convention attendees express safety concerns, and repeat visitors describe San Diego as unrecognizable compared to previous visits. Businesses are fleeing affected areas at unprecedented rates. The East Village Business Association reports 37% of member businesses have relocated or permanently closed since 2022. Property owners cite decreased foot traffic, customer safety concerns, and insurance premium increases as primary factors driving closures. Property values tell the most concrete story. Homes within 3 blocks of major encampments have depreciated by an average of 18%, according to Zillow data, while comparable properties in unaffected areas appreciate normally. Commercial real estate values in downtown have declined by 23%, representing hundreds of millions in lost assessed value and reduced tax revenue. The convention industry faces existential threats. Comic-Con International, generating over $140 million annually, has privately expressed concerns about renewing its San Diego contract beyond 2025 due to safety and perception issues. Despite massive spending, the crisis continues to worsen, raising questions about current approaches. San Diego taxpayers have funded $250 million in homeless services since 2020, yet the crisis has worsened dramatically. You're witnessing one of the most expensive policy failures in the city's history, where massive spending produces minimal results while thousands remain on the streets. The numbers reveal stunning inefficiency. San Diego's 2024 homeless services budget reached $87 million, representing a 130% increase since 2020. That's roughly $8,500 spent per homeless individual annually, yet the population continues growing. Shelter capacity exposes the fundamental problem. Despite budget increases, San Diego provides only 4,200 beds for over 10,000 homeless individuals. New shelter construction takes 3 to 5 years due to bureaucratic delays and community opposition, while the crisis demands immediate action. Program effectiveness measurements show dismal outcomes. According to the San Diego County Grand Jury's 2024 report, only 18% of individuals entering city-funded programs achieve permanent housing within 12 months. Most cycle repeatedly through emergency shelters, temporary programs, and back to the streets. Administrative overhead consumes shocking portions of funding. The nonprofit Alpha Project, receiving $12 million annually in city contracts, spends 43% on administrative costs according to public filings. Meanwhile, direct services like mental health treatment and job training receive inadequate resources. San Diego's struggle mirrors similar crises across California, but with unique challenges. California's homelessness crisis creates a devastating domino effect, with San Diego representing just one piece of a statewide catastrophe that's spiraling beyond control. When you examine per capita homeless rates, San Diego's crisis becomes even more alarming within the broader California context. The numbers reveal shocking disparities. Los Angeles County has 182,000 homeless individuals among 10 million residents, roughly 18 per thousand. San Francisco reports 8,000 homeless among 870,000 residents, 9 per thousand. San Diego's 10,000 homeless among 3.3 million residents equals 3 per thousand, seemingly better until you consider growth rates. San Diego's 30% annual increase dwarfs Los Angeles's 8% and San Francisco's declining numbers. You're witnessing the fastest growing homeless crisis in California, surpassing even the Bay Area's notorious problems. Policy approaches vary dramatically across cities. Los Angeles invests heavily in temporary housing and mental health services. San Francisco focuses on supervised consumption sites and harm reduction. San Diego emphasizes law enforcement and encampment clearances, producing the least effective outcomes, according to UCLA's homeless policy research. Migration patterns between California cities create additional complexity. Sacramento and Fresno report significant homeless populations moving to coastal cities, particularly San Diego, seeking better weather and services. This interstate migration overwhelms local resources while other cities export their problems. What happens in California cities often spreads nationwide, making this more than a regional issue. San Diego's playbook for homelessness is being replicated across America's Sun Belt, where warm weather cities face identical crises as economic pressures push more Americans into housing insecurity. You're witnessing the nationalization of what many assumed was a California-specific problem. Similar explosions are erupting in cities you wouldn't expect. Austin's homeless population increased by 67% since 2022. Phoenix reports a 43% increase over the same period. Miami-Dade County's homeless count reached 11,000 in 2024, representing a 58% increase from 2020. Federal policy creates perverse incentives that worsen local crises. The Department of Housing and Urban Development distributes homelessness funding based on point-in-time counts, rewarding cities that report higher numbers while penalizing those that successfully reduce populations. This system encourages cities to inflate counts and discourages effective solutions. Interstate migration patterns reveal how local problems become national emergencies. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition found that 37% of homeless individuals migrated from other states within 2 years of becoming homeless. Cities with generous services attract populations from less supportive regions, concentrating the crisis geographically. Economic indicators suggest massive expansion ahead. The National Association of Realtors reports that 43% of American renters spend more than 30% of income on housing, with 12% spending over 50%. These are the demographics that feed homelessness pipelines nationwide. The question isn't whether this crisis can be solved, but whether America is prepared for what comes next. America stands at a crossroads where San Diego's crisis represents either a warning we heed or a preview of our collective future. Population projections paint an alarming picture of what's approaching if current trends continue unchecked. The California Department of Finance forecasts San Diego County's population reaching 4.2 million by 2035, while housing production remains at historic lows. Only 8,300 new units were approved in 2024, against a need for 15,000 annually. This gap guarantees the homeless population will explode beyond current levels. Climate migration will accelerate these pressures dramatically. The Internal Migration Report projects 2.5 million Americans will relocate to California by 2040 due to extreme weather events, drought, and rising sea levels in other regions. San Diego's mild climate makes it a prime destination for climate refugees, overwhelming already strained infrastructure. Current spending approaches are economically unsustainable. San Diego's homeless services budget increases by 30% annually while achieving minimal results. At this trajectory, the city will spend over $200 million annually on homelessness by 2030 without housing a single additional person permanently. When America's finest city cannot provide basic safety, sanitation, or livability for residents, what hope remains for other communities facing similar pressures? San Diego's crisis isn't an isolated phenomenon. It's a glimpse into America's future unless fundamental changes occur. The question isn't whether your city will face this crisis, but whether you'll be prepared when it arrives.